Imagine having a button in front of you that, every time you press it, sends a rush of pleasure straight to your brain. Sounds irresistible, right? But what if you couldn't stop pressing it, no matter the consequences? This isn't a plot from a sci-fi movie. It was a real-life experiment conducted in the 1950s that shocked the world of neuroscience and raised profound ethical questions. Today, we're diving into the controversial experiment led by Dr. Robert Heath, where a woman was given the ability to electrically stimulate her brain's pleasure centers. The results were as fascinating as they were unsettling. In the 1950s and 1960s, Dr. Robert G. Heath, a pioneering but controversial neuroscientist, was conducting research aimed at exploring the brain's role in emotions, behavior, and mental illness. His work was grounded in the belief that by electrically stimulating specific areas of the brain, he could modulate emotions and potentially treat psychiatric conditions. One of the most controversial experiments in his body of work involved the use of deep brain stimulation, DBS, on a woman, referred to as Subject A, who was suffering from severe depression. The goal of the experiment was to explore whether electrical stimulation of specific brain regions could alleviate symptoms of severe depression and induce feelings of pleasure or emotional well-being. Dr. Heath implanted electrodes into specific areas of the woman's brain, particularly targeting regions he believed were associated with pleasure and emotional regulation, such as the septal region and the nucleus accumbens. These areas are part of the brain's reward system, known to be involved in the experience of pleasure and reinforcement of behavior. After the electrodes were surgically implanted, the woman was provided with a device that allowed her to self-administer electrical stimulation. The device was a simple button connected to the implanted electrodes, which she could press whenever she desired to stimulate her brain. Initially, the woman began to explore the effects of the stimulation by pressing the button intermittently. However, as the experiment progressed, she began to press the button with increasing frequency. The stimulation produced sensations of pleasure and euphoria, which quickly led to compulsive behavior. The woman's use of the button escalated rapidly. She began pressing it almost continuously, unable to resist the urge to stimulate her brain. The behavior became so compulsive that she would press the button hundreds of times in succession, even when the stimulation caused her physical discomfort or distress. At some points, the stimulation appeared to induce not just pleasure but also anxiety or agitation, yet she continued to press the button regardless. The compulsive nature of self-stimulation highlighted the potential for electrical stimulation to override normal behavioral controls and lead to addiction-like behavior. The woman's inability to stop pressing the button, even when it was no longer producing purely pleasurable effects, underscored the powerful influence of the brain's reward systems. Dr. Heath's experiment with Subject A is a stark example of the potential dangers of invasive brain research, particularly when ethical considerations are not fully addressed. The woman's compulsive self-stimulation behavior demonstrated the power and risks associated with manipulating the brain's reward system. Today, this experiment serves as a cautionary tale in the field of neuroscience, emphasizing the critical need for ethical guidelines and protections for research subjects. The long-term impact on Subject A remains unclear, but the experiment has had a lasting influence on discussions surrounding the ethics of medical experimentation and the treatment of mental illness. What do you think? Should we continue to explore these deep recesses of the mind, or are the risks too great? Let us know in the comments below, and if you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the mind and science.